we're fighting for the right to drink bourbon tonight. Here on a Thursday night throwdown on a Thursday night in mid-January here. Mike Church here with you. Tonight's all things bourbon. You know, this actually was probably going to be the first show that we ever did for Thursday night throwdown. It just never came together that we would do the bourbon show. There were so many other things to talk about. But finally, we'll get around to the great American Bourbon Throwdown. Couple of rules on the Bourbon Throwdown. One of them is, if I make the rule that you can only drink bourbon, and I go out and I'm the first one that breaks it, because as I checked my stash, I realized that I actually have to make the bourbon run like Han Solo, and hopefully I can make it in 3.5 parsecs, because this is Melel or Melek from Louisiana, but it's not bourbon. It's just whiskey. So somebody's going to say, that's not really whiskey. Yeah, I kind of got that it's not actually whiskey, it's actually bourbon. We will get into, and I will show the audience, and we will talk about the things that actually make an actual bourbon. We could join the Crusader Stadium chat room. Now, this happens to me every week because I have so many 554 billion thousand things going on. If I want to switch from that screen to this screen here, stupid Google on this machine doesn't work the same way it does on that one. And so I have all my stuff put up over here, but in order to get a good video, I need to actually be out of that screen, and I need to have it over here. So bear with me for a moment here while I pull up the, okay, so that's what I was looking for. You know, I'm just going to have to read it off the screen and cheat. So what makes a bourbon? Now, I have a slide here that I can show you. And this is another fault of StreamYard. You know, the more I use StreamYard, the more I despise it. Okay, so I have to minimize the screen. You can't go full screen and see the menus. These are the things that make a bourbon. So according to this guy, and I knew all of this, but you know, I got my bourbon knowledge from Fred No. Fred No is the grandson or the great-grandson Booker No. No, he's the grandson of Booker No. He's the great-great-grandson of James B. Beam. And Fred, until Beam sold out to the Japs, whatever the name of that company was, Fred was running James B. Beam Distilleries. He was the one that was responsible for the Devil's Cut, which they came out with back in the early aughts. He was responsible, it was his idea to do the small batch series, which is Basil Hayden's, Baker's, Knob Creek, and then Booker's. Basil Hayden's comes in at 80, Baker's comes in at 104, but Knob Creek comes in at 110, or it used to, now it comes in at 100, and Booker's comes in at whatever they bottle it at. And that was the Jim Beam Small Batch Bourbon Collection. And Fred, I actually went to a whiskey tasting with Fred right here in Madisonville when my daughter worked at a restaurant called Pardo's. And there were two things on here that Fred told me or told us that make up a bourbon that aren't on this list. But I'll share the list with you anyway. So bourbon can be made anywhere in America. Most people think, it's got to be made in Bourbon County. No, it doesn't have to be made in Bourbon County. Not true. You can, if you make it in the United States and you follow the rest of the code, and there is a code, then it's bourbon. 2, bourbon must be made with new charred oak barrels. This is the big one. Because you got to have, if you've ever seen virgin white oak barrels, they're really pretty actually. Before they get booze poured into them, they're not brown colored like you think. They are white. I mean, it actually looks like white. Steve, smart. Steve, kick your mic on. Is that, have you seen an actual virgin white oak barrel?
I don't know that I've actually seen one.
You've seen pictures of
I know I. Oh, oh yeah, for sure. But not a virgin. Most of the ones that I see, they use at our brewery, and they've been used for some liquor, and then they throw a bunch of beer in it and let it sit for half a year or something.
Yeah. It's not the barrel that you see outside a Cracker Barrel. The Cracker Barrel barrel's been out in the weather for a decade or however long, and it gets discolored. A virgin white oak barrel, I've seen one. I've seen one at Jack Daniels, and they make theirs out of sugar maple. They don't use oak, and that's another reason why Jack's not a bourbon, and they farm all that on the hill where the distillery is. They got the Cave Creek is there, and then they have the trees that they either get from their hill or nearby. But it's not white oak. But I have seen white oak, and white oak is white. You strip the bark off it, bro, it is flipping white. So you got to make the new charred barrels of white oak. And how they char them, I know at Jack Daniels, I've never seen a white oak barrel charged, but I've seen the way that Jack does it. They just have ginormous charcoal fire, wood-burning fire going at all times. They make the barrels, the duals roll them down the hill, and they just throw like hot coals in there, put a lid on it, and they put it in a gizmo, and it rolls it. And as it's rolling, and there's a vent hole on both the top and bottom. As it's rolling, it's burning the inside, and you char the inside, because if you don't char the barrel, you don't get the color. So just a little bourbon intel there. This is a big one. You have to use 51% corn to make it bourbon. Now, you can put any other grain. You can use rice. You can use wheat. You can use barley if you want. You can use any other grain for the 49%, but it's got to be 51% corn. It's got to be distilled to a maximum of 80% ABV. If you don't know that, that's basically, what is that? What do they call that? It's Everclear. It's 160 proof. You don't drink that. You take paint off of cars with that. Now, this is interesting. Depending on whose formula you believe, you have to brew it, you have to distill it to a certain proof. And if you don't distill it to a certain proof before it goes in a barrel, then it doesn't count. It's not bourbon. So it is. There it is right there. So it must enter the barrel at no more than 62.5%. That's 125 proof. Now, the reason why this comes into play, I don't know, anyone I know, Scott, you drink a lot of beer. Have you ever made beer? Joe,
I have.
Joe,
once or twice.
Pick me.
I didn't get real big into it, though.
So you know what SG is, specific gravity is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Joe, you know what specific gravity is?
Yes, sir.
Jeff Johnson, you're supposed to be an expert on all this. You do nothing but act retired. Do you know what specific gravity is?
I do.
Okay. So go ahead, Maggie. You brewed beer. Of course you know what SG is.
I was say Maggie should know that. She was a brewer, a real brewer. I'm just a fake one. I just do it at home.
When I used to do it, I was real, man. I'd buy the grains and the crystal malt and the whole shebang, and do the wort in the pot, and add the hops and everything, and watch it boil over. And yes,
I couldn't keep up with demand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it measures.
It was a great
density
time
versus
doing
water.
it too. I used to have.
It measures the density versus the water.
Yes. Specific gravity. You use a thing called a hygrometer.
Correct.
You drop the hygrometer in there, and it'll tell you what the SG is. Interesting, though, that if it must enter the barrel at no more than 62.5%. I'm going to show you guys what I brought here today. I was going to the house going like, I know I've got bourbon, because I'm like in between my store runs. This is a bottle that was gifted to me. As a matter of fact, one of y'all might have given it to me. This is Calumet Farms. I don't know if you can read that. See the proof on that? That's 105% proof. So, or 105 proof, meaning that's 52.5% alcohol. Not sure what it went into the barrel at, but I can tell you that Booker's, that James B. Beam makes, I've had bottles of Booker's that are right at 125 proof, 124.8. So they pour that joker in there, and I guess that's what it comes out at. It must be bottled at no less than 40%. So, you know, it's a good thing they set that rule up in the 80s, because if they'd have done that rule 10, 12 years, 15 years ago, they'd have lowered it down to 70, because they all started cutting their bourbon with water. And they started doing it because they couldn't make it fast enough because the damn Japs were buying so much of it. The Japs bought all the scotch in the world, and they started buying all the bourbon. So the scotch makers couldn't make scotch fast enough, which is why we all pay $70 a bottle now for a single malt, because the Scottish can't keep up with the demand. And they just went like, okay, well, we'll just keep raising the price until the Japanese stop buying it. I don't know that the Japanese ever stopped buying it, but they just kept raising the price. And then finally, it must be genuine. No artificial colors may be added. Fred No told me two more things. He said, Fred told us, oh, look at that, the bluegrass. That's good stuff. I thought you were going to send me a bottle a couple of weeks. Where's my Christmas present, bro?
Bro, this stuff is getting harder and harder to come by. You can't even buy it in my state. I get it shipped to me. Typical fashion, anywhere I go, I meet like the brewers. I met the gentleman that is the head brewer of this small batch down in Lexington, Kentucky. And the only way I can get this is if he ships it in the mail or ships it to me undercover with no marking saying what it is.
No, there's no U.S. Postal Service code on this, is there?
Yes, there is.
Oh, is there? Really?
Oh no, you can't ship liquor. When I sent you the bottle of the,
You didn't send me anything.
I sent it to you 2 years ago. When I found, or 3 years ago.
We're on tape. We're live. You didn't send me anything.
Oh, that's right. I sent you nothing.
You
That's
sent
right.
it to Johnson. Johnson's the contraband guy, not me.
Johnson.
He worked at a prison. He can survive in the clink. I can't.
I'm way too pretty for prison. So, you know, the most amazing thing about bourbons, and especially probably in the last 10, 12 years, is the amount of really small batch ones that are coming out. Unfortunately, there's some really horrible ones, but there are some really good ones. This particular one, we went to Lexington, Kentucky. I was supposed to spend 3 days there and ended up spending 7 days. But I wanted to go to a small batch. I didn't want to do the big bourbon tour with all the big guys.
Right.
I wanted to go to a small batch one. And this one was right around the corner from the Airbnb that we were staying at. Don't beat me up. That's all we could find. But it was 2 blocks away, and they were the nicest people in the world. I spent $25 to go through the tour. They set up a tasting at the beginning that gave you 7 full shots of all the bourbons they made. That's how you started your tour out. So you got pretty good buzz going.
I was going to say, so you're lit before you even get into the brewery or into the distillery.
Yes. So it's kind of funny. It was three best friends that put this idea together, and it started with, like most things, 3 guys at a bar drinking, shooting the shoot, and they came up with this idea. And the 2 of them are pretty well-to-do guys in the town that did well. One is a lawyer, another one is a property guy who develops property, and the third guy was just a poor kid that grew up making moonshine, and he was actually a distiller at Maker's Mark. And they called him like 30 days after they went out, and they said, "Hey, did you find us a building yet?" And he's like, "You guys are for real? You really want to do this? I thought we were just drinking, getting drunk. This is drunk talk." And they're like, "No, we really want to do it." And the funny story is, he's like, "Can you brew?" "Yeah, I don't have the money to invest." And they said, "We have the money. You do the brewing, we'll do the investing, and we'll all be equal partners." And for the first 5 years, they thought they was going to go belly up, because it takes 5 years to be able to get a true bottle of bourbon out. And for 5 years, they're brewing off of what he said he could do. And it wasn't until they cracked the first barrel that they realized that they had something. And it's they've since moved from this little warehouse, which is where they started at, this very old warehouse, to they bought a plantation, and they redid the plantation and put this big tasting room and all in now. But one of the biggest things is all their grains come from local farmers.
Oh.
They make a blue corn one, Mike, that's 120 proof, but it's like drinking water. It's very dangerous. It's very tasty, but the next thing you know, that you can have a half a bottle disappear in a hurry.
Well, I remember having some of that blue stuff, and I also remember getting a bottle of, what was that stuff? Did we take a picture of what Brian brought me from Kentucky? Do we have a picture of that?
We did.
I'm pretty sure that we do. So Brad and Sue, Brad was challenged. Do you have the picture? Brad and Sue Anthony. You met them at one of the congresses. Brad heard me talking about blue corn bourbon, and Brad's a bourbon guy and he lives in Kentucky. And Brad's like, I don't know, Sue. I never heard of no damn blue corn bourbon. I'm going to prove Mike wrong. So he started going around to small batch bourbon distilleries looking to see if he could find a blue corn bourbon. And everyone kept telling him no, never heard of it. And he goes, Mike, I almost had you. I was going to write you a nasty letter and tell you you're full of it. And he goes, the second to last distillery I went to, there it was, blue corn bourbon. And I was so embarrassed I had to buy the bottle and bring it to you. So he brings me the bottle. He tells me this story. And I'm like, Brad, I am so glad that you're embarrassed enough to bring me this bottle here. Now, next time you come to New Orleans, you better bring me a case. So,
well, we'll plan in this summer. It's funny. We're planning this summer to go back down to the Lexington area. And I already told the wife that we are making an emergency stop at Bluegrass. We're going to get a couple cases, and then we're going to travel to wherever we're going to go. But we're going to fill up the car before we go by.
So I'll tell you.
The one I'm drinking tonight, Mike, is a smoked toasted oats that they make. It is delightful. Everyone I've tried of theirs is really good.
So I will show you so you can get a closer look at the Calumet Farms at the label. Now, this actually is one of the highest falutin of all highfalutin thoroughbred horse racing families, Calumet, the Calumet family. If you've ever been to bluegrass country, raise your hand if you've been to bluegrass country. If you've been to bluegrass country, you have probably driven past Calumet, and you just, first of all, you saw bluegrass, and then you saw ginormous fields, and if there were any horses out, they were not nags. They were the most beautiful bay, beautiful horses. The barns were all immaculate. Everything it looks like Augusta. It looks like the Masters. That was probably Calumet Farms. It's just one of the most extraordinary places. If you're ever in bluegrass country in Kentucky, just for the beauty of Calumet. And I'm trying to think if did Calumet have, I want to say they had Seattle Slew. Trying to remember the name. They've had several, like Triple Crown or almost Triple Crown winners that were bred there on that farm. In any event, they don't do anything second class. You get anything that's made from Calumet Farms, brother, it is made to the nines, and so is their bourbon, and it's actually really good. Another little thing about what Joe said. If you go into the bourbon business, dude, you're 5 years before you even know if you got a product. I mean, you can taste it after 2. And technically, if it is, I'm trying to remember the proof, you can sell it as bourbon after 2. But I want to say it has to be less than there's a certain proof. This is in the Bourbon Code of 1964 that Congress actually codified. To get it to where you could sell it at anything above 80 proof and call it bourbon, you have to age it for 4 years. Now, Fred No told us 5. He said it has to be in that virgin white oak barrel for 5 years. It has to have 51% corn. It's got to be aged in a burnt white oak barrel. It has to be a minimum of 80 proof when you sell it. And at the end, it has to. It's got to be made in America. And there was one of these other. I don't remember him talking about the proof going in.
So, can I interrupt real quick, Mike? When I went down there and I met the guys down at Bluegrass, the head distiller, he's a stickler for. He calls them the old rules, and he said I brew like my grandfathers used to brew up in the mountains, and he'll tell you. He said, if you find a bourbon that's less than 5 years, he said, doesn't even buy it. Because he said, and I forget what it is, they're adding something to that bourbon to proof it that's a chemical based, and it's not a natural occurring thing that happens when you brew and make bourbon. And he's like, the time in the barrel really makes a massive difference. And he's also the one that explained to me I can't afford a bottle of it, and I've had 15 years. This is Pappy Van Winkle, and he said one of the reasons why that stuff is so expensive. He said because after 23 years, there's only a quarter of the barrel left in there, and that's what the bottle went off of, and that's why it's so expensive. All the water has disappeared.
Well, I will tell you. Raise your hand if you've ever had Pappy 15 or more.
Disgusting.
Jeff,
It's the most overrated stuff. That
dude,
I've
it's
ever
fixed
tried.
44. It's fixed 44 formula cough syrup. Cough syrup.
Listen,
I don't even
I
like.
tell
I
people-
didn't even like it. I had the 21. I didn't even like it. I preferred the 13. I thought the 13 was the best. We did a flight, and
I
I
had
thought
a
the
10
13 was the best.
I had the 10-year and I had a 23. I had a 23 in Congress. That's a whole other story for another time. That's your tax dollars at work. But anywho, the 10-year was the best. The 10-year was the best. But here's the problem with bourbons, like anything, and scotch and even cigars, Mike. You know that as well as I do. It's so snobbish at times. Like I can tell you that Makers, I like Makers. I know you have yours, but I think Makers is about the best drinking you're going to get.
I'll tell you
I have a little taller glass. But.
I'll tell you a story, but first I want to hear from everyone else, since Joe and I have been hogging all the time up here. Jeff Johnson, I know that you are a bourbon guy, so what did you bring? I see the Knob Creek behind you. Oh! Chicken?
This is my new favorite. And I'm going to be really honest. The only reason I bought it was because of the name. And then I got it, and this stuff is awesome. This is the small batch, and I absolutely love it. This is, again, now my new favorite. I like Maker's Mark. I'm drinking Knob Creek, but yeah, this is it. This is my new favorite.
Now, what's the proof
and again,
on
I
that?
bought it on a Loric just because of the name.
What's the proof on that? I can't see it.
100.
Okay, it's
right up
100.
there on the-
Oh, there it
it's
is.
100,
Okay,
yeah.
I see it. Duh.
And this is one of the oldest distilleries in the United States, established in 1856.
And-
So it's not like this is a new brand. This has been around for a long time.
Dude,
I had never heard of it.
I love the texturing on the bottle.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of
the
looks
back
like
is-
chicken legs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the back is just it's has a big chicken right here in the middle of it. It's very well crafted. The bottle's cool. Everything about it is just awesome. And again, like I said, it's my new favorite.
I must find me a bottle of this. Chicken cock for the win, folks. I mean, that's what a name. Now, I don't even know why Resnick is here, because Resnick is a beer guy. Did you just get into bourbon just for tonight, or?
No, I have a glass of wood chunks because I think that's what bourbon tastes like.
Oh! The challenge flag has been played.
I think I'm having a heart attack there, Mike.
I think I'm genetically predisposed to not like bourbon.
But here's to my genetic predisposition to taking up your slack.
But to each his own.
Have you ever had a beer aged in a bourbon barrel?
I do not like it.
And I hate them too.
They're disgusting. Thank you.
Okay, so
I don't even like wine that's oak aged. I don't know what it is.
the distillery,
genetic defect, I'm
the
pretty
home,
sure.
the
Or
microbrewery.
genetic correction. I don't know.
Okay, the microbrewery down the street that closed, Old Rail Brewery. Some of y'all might have gone there for a Congress. I think we had a lunch there. They made a beer and they actually won a contest with it. Their Scottish ale was just a regular red Scottish ale. There was nothing special about it. But they got barrels from Maker's Mark and they aged it enough to bottle it and enter it into a contest. They aged it in bourbon barrels. And when they aged it in bourbon barrels, they entered it into a contest and they won Best of Show, basically. So I didn't like it. And I love bourbon and I love Scottish ale. And I went like, oh, dude, you took two great things. And this is not a Reese's peanut butter commercial. You took two good things and you put them together and they're like water and oil. They don't mix whatsoever. So I was not a fan. There are a lot of people that are doing this fancy thing now, and they're aging beers in bourbon barrels. I'm with you. I'm completely opposed to it. Leave the beer in the damn glass or in the aluminum lined tank. All right, Steve Smart, what did you bring?
Well, I'm going to embarrass myself because I've always been a cheap drunk because I'm always poor. But I mean, I've just got Kentucky Gentleman, which is, a pretty cheap bottle. But yeah, that's just. But I was born in Kentucky, and I've got. I was born in Lexington actually, and
Oh, wow.
got an uncle. Y'all talking about Maker's Mark? Got an uncle that collects Maker's Mark collectible bottles. So he's got a whole collection of all these fancy bottles and all the commemorative labels and stuff from the Wildcats, because I have a cousin that played on the Lady Cats basketball. So, but yeah, no, I'm a cheap drunk, so I can't afford all that nice stuff.
There's nothing wrong with being a cheap drunk. The only thing I'll say about Kentucky Gentleman is I stay away from any alcohol that's packaged in a plastic bottle, and you can get Kentucky Gentleman at Wine and More or Wine and Things down the street in a plastic bottle. Mate, dude, you know that alcohol dissolves petroleum, right?
Right.
I mean, if you're going to get the Kentucky Gentleman, you at least have to get it in you got to get it in a glass. All right, we're going to take just a quick time out.
Yeah, this is the glass bottle. I didn't get the big one because the big one's in plastic.
All right, we're going to take a quick time out here, and we'll come right back, and we'll finish. We'll do some more bourbon talk. I thought it was amazing that I found a version of one bourbon, one scotch, and one beer that is not by George Thorogood. But we're going to go out with this one, even though it's not bourbon. It's hanged.
I've got a good woman at home who thinks I do no wrong, but sometimes, Lord, she just ain't always around. And you know that's when I fall. Now I can't help myself at all, and I get songs about a rambling man, put a cold one in my hand, 'cause you know I love to hear those guitar sounds. But don't you play, I'm so lonesome I could cry, 'cause I'll get all balled up inside, and I'll get
one scotch, one bourbon, one beer. One scotch, one bourbon, one beer. Please, Mr. Bartender, listen here. I ain't here for trouble and
Such a wonderful respite from George Thorogood being drunk, yelling at me with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
I don't want soda, no bubble gum. You got what I want, just serve me
This
some.
is Amos
My baby's been
Milburn
everything's
with one
lost.
bourbon, one scotch, one
I'm
beer.
on this kick.
A song suggested to me
One bourbon, one
that I
beer.
played tonight by the one and only Father Glaude, who waded into the Crusader Stadium, not the stadium, waded into the Signal group, which you're all invited to join, and said, can I make some suggestions for whiskey songs? And he gave me a couple of bourbon songs, and then I was browsing around, and he gave me Amos, and I went to Amos's Greatest Hits album, and I went, wait a minute. He did a cover of One Bourbon, One Scotch, One Beer. Now, I don't know who did the original. Was Thorogood the original, or was it some? It was probably some black blues artist that probably did the original, Johnny Lee Hooker or somebody that did the original, and Thorogood just covered it. Much to my surprise, there were dozens of covers of One Bourbon, One Scotch, One Beer. Just so everyone knows the George Thorogood one, which is just like, it's just a rambling. And I went home to my old lady, and then the landlady comes and say, you owe me some rent. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? In any event,
Mike.
yes.
Hey, Mike, did you know that Stevie Ray Vaughan covered that song?
Did he really?
He did.
Incredible job at it too.
I bet he did a really bluesy Southern cover, too.
Yeah. Gone too soon. That's all there is to it about Stevie Ray.
Absolutely. So we're in the middle of the what's the greatest American bourbon? We haven't even voted on the greatest American bourbon. I agree with what Joe Beeman was saying earlier about Maker's Mark. I will tell you a story. So the same weekend that I had, the same week I did the bourbon dinner with Fred No, they had a big hoop-de-doo liquor convention in town at the New Orleans Convention Center. And a friend of mine who worked for Glazer Distributors here in New Orleans, Maggie, you remember Gouza. Gouza said, dude, I got tickets. You want to go to the whiskey night, to the bourbon night? There's a private party. It's being hosted by Jim Beam, and Maker's Mark guy is going to be there. There's other guys that are going to be there. You want to go? And I went, hell yeah. I went like, is the Pope a heretic? Yeah, hell yeah, I want to go. And he said, all right, man, we're going to whatever. And so we went to this thing, and Andrew Lees came in. Our buddy Andrew Lees drove all the way from Houston to come to this thing. So we went to this big hoop-de-doo event, and it was, if you were bourbon, I mean, dude, this was like bourbon heaven. Calumet was there. You name the bourbon that you like to drink, and they just had a bar. And they had representatives from, Jeff Johnson, you'll remember this. Remember when we went to the Let My People Smoke thing? Remember the Let My People Smoke thing? Remember you'd go around, you work your way around the room, and all the different cigar manufacturers had their little booths there, and you get a cigar from them and a cutter or whatever. You know, all your, name your boutique cigar brand, and they were there, including the big guys. Fuente was there, Macanudo was there, Upman was there. Well, it was kind of like that. You know, they had it set up kind of like on a horseshoe, and you walked in with your little glass. They gave you a shot glass, and you walked in, and, you know, you get your little taste of whatever it was this particular bourbon distillery was serving. And then at the next place, if you wanted a little water to rinse your glass out with, you could rinse your glass out. And I stopped at Maker's Mark because I loved Maker's Mark at the time. And I struck a conversation up with the guy who was working the booth. And he and I hit it off when we were talking. He actually was a listener on the SiriusXM Patriot channel. And so he and I had this long conversation. I didn't think anything of it. So then they just start doing the presentation. Okay, we're gonna have some VIPs here tonight. We have Fred Noah, and Fred gets up there, and they had some other cat from another distillery, and then he goes, and we have third generation Maker's Mark heir Rob Samuels is here. It was the guy I was talking to. Was Rob Samuels. So Rob Samuels goes up on the stage and he does his thing and he talks about his family and all that and how they got into the bourbon business, which is it's an awesome story. If you has anyone ever been to the Maker's Mark distillery? I have. You ever been?
No.
Joe, you been?
I would love to go. No, that's the only big one I want to go to, and we end up doing family stuff.
You can dunk your own bottle. At the end of it, yeah, if you want to buy a bottle, they'll give you a bottle and you dunk it as deep as you make your own little wax red cap on it. And they put a little mark, they take your little thing that you bought it and they stick it on the bottle and they let it dry and then you go away and they bring it out to you. So in any event, I talked, this is just a great America story. I talked to Rob Samuels and I was like, dude, I realized I was talking to the man. And he goes, I didn't realize I was talking to the KingDude. So we had a great conversation and he told me, his grandfather started Maker's Mark. They got permission. He was working at one of the bigs. I don't remember which one. And he got permission from his boss. He said, boss, I want to try to make my own. I have an idea. And I want to, I want a certain proof and in a certain kind of barrel and I want to age it. He goes, man, you're one of my best employees. You go right on ahead. And so he got barrels and he made test batches of his own. And one of them was really good, and he had written everything down. And so they ultimately he keeps making it. And then he goes, you know what? I think I want to start my own bourbon business. And the guy he was working for was cool about it. He goes, yeah, man, go ahead. And they came up with the idea. His wife came up with the idea. They were going like, well, what if we had a really cool seal on the bottle? And of course, no one was thinking wax. And so they were like going, what kind of plastic could you use? Put paper around it, fancy with a piece of aluminum foil or gold foil around it, or like champagne bottle, something like that. And I don't remember how the story comes about, but they decided on trying the wax. And everyone loved the wax. So they went with the wax. The next thing is the label. Go look at a label of Maker's Mark. Maggie, what do you call the scissors that cut the little round edges in a row? Right, decorative cutting scissors. Mrs. and their last name was Samuels. Mrs. Samuels, so they got a price from a printer on printing and die cutting the labels because they had to they wanted the pattern. They go circle, 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 circle. They wanted the pattern, and the guy he wanted too much money. We're like, well, screw that, we'll do it ourselves. So they got scissors, craft cutting scissors that cut the circular pattern on the top instead of it straight. And she sat there, and for the first 2 years, they hand cut every Maker's Mark label. And they made it, and they bottled it basically in their garage or wherever it was, and she was cutting the labels, and Mr. Samuels, on the assembly line, and some other cats were slapping it on the bottle, and they called it Maker's Mark. The other interesting thing is, you know what a Maker's Mark is? I still tell this story because of the ending.
Yeah.
What's a Maker's Mark, Maggie?
No, I'm not talking.
Anybody know what a Maker's Mark is? Why it's called Maker's Mark? Look at the bottle. The maker, as in the maker, apostrophe S, the Maker's Mark, is on the bottle. There's an S. It's a brand. It's actually on the label. And you look at the back of the Maker's Mark bottle now, the Samuel's crest, the S, is actually on the bottle. It's embossed into the bottle. That's the Maker's Mark. And so they went with, well, what are we going to call it? And they were slapping their little mark on it. Go, why don't we call it the Maker's Mark? Because it used to be called the Maker's Mark. Anyway, fascinating story about an American success story. He also sold out to the, what are the Canadians that brew that crap beer? Molson. He sold out to Molson.
So Maker's Mark's not owned by the same family anymore.
I think Samuels bought it back.
I sure hope so, because they make one called Cellar Edition. It comes out once a year. If you ever see that stuff, just buy the whole case. Just buy everything they have.
What's it called?
It's called the Cellar Edition. So what they do is that every year they put out a new one, 23 Cellar Edition, 24, 25, and it's a special small batch and I forget the name of the guy who's like the lead brewer at Maker's Mark, and they let him go have like his free for all. I guess it goes back to the story you just told, how his grandfather, great grandfather started. They did it with another one of their own employees. So they take this and they store this barrel in a cave they have around there, and they do a limited run every year, and they have to. And I think it has to sit in the cave for a minimum of 12 years.
Wow!
And each year it's a new. I don't know how many barrels they make, but it's called the cellar edition. So, and if you look on the back of the bottle, it'll tell you on the back of each label, it'll tell you the year that it was brewed and the year that they bottled it. Of course, that's on around the top of the label.
What's
But
that,
it
Mag?
is delicious.
It's in limestone cellar.
Or it's a limestone
That's what it
cellar.
is. Yep.
So look at the bottle, the picture of the bottle, because people like them pictures that Maggie just put in the chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat. See right above, right below where the bourbon line is, where the neck of the bottle goes and it flutes out. See that thing right there? That's the SV. That's the Samuels. That's the Maker's Mark right there. Very cool story. You know what? I'm going to have to try that.
It's worth, if you can find it. But I tried it one time at a restaurant, and I haven't been able to find a bottle since. Every time it comes out, it's gone.
I never seen it before, because if I had, I'd have bought it.
Can't even find a picture other than 2023.
Yeah, and Maggie's saying she couldn't even find a picture of it because people like them pictures.
Remember I told you about how snooty some of this stuff can be? It became snooty. It wasn't meant to be a snooty drink. It was supposed to just be a small batch, let the head distiller have a little fun, and it became a snooty thing now.
Nobody likes snobs anymore about anything. Because, Jeff Johnson, what you're supposed to do when you go into a bar and you're a real bourbon drinker is you go, whiskey, Nate, lay the bottle. And then he brings you the bottle, Jeff, and what do? You cork it with your teeth. That's what a real man does when he drinks bourbon.
It's the same people that are the snooty bourbon drinkers are the same cigar guys that sit around and drink their cigars with the band on so everybody can see what they're smoking.
Gauntlet, boom,
It's just Throwdown.
Throwdown.
So Mike, in this Signal chat, I shared a picture of a bottle. It's a Mackenzie's. And the reason I shared it is because it's made just a little bit north of me up here in New York. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Finger Lakes region. Very well known for its wineries. Dozens and dozens of wineries. But in the last 10 years, the distilleries have been popping up all over. And so Mackenzie's is in Burdett, New York, and it's just a little ways away. And if any of you ever come up this way and I'm still around here and not up in Maine, we'll go up there and hit the distilleries up on the wine trail.
The last time we were supposed to go to the Let My People Smoke when me and Junk Bond and Joe were all going to go, and then Joe had to knock his wife up and get out of it. So Joe messed the whole thing up. I messed it with you, Joe.
Yeah.
I believe the Lord blessed me with another child.
He did. He did.
And the child is beautiful.
Hey, Mike.
We were going to go there,
2
my
years
Jeff.
ago-
We were going to go there. Me, you, and Junk Bond and Joe. You had set a tour.
Right.
No, Dan Mundy had set the tour. We were all going to go to Mackenzie's.
Yep, we were all going to go there, and Monday got all sad about it. He did.
Yeah.
He's probably
So-
still crying tonight.
Yeah. So Mike.
Yeah, from Virginia.
So speaking of the cigar event, Let My People Smoke, I just have to nerd out a little bit because 2 years ago, and I'll share the picture with you guys sometime. I have a picture with me and with Carlos Fuentes in his fedora.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, I freaked out. I saw him. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a picture. And I ran right over and, hey, do you mind if I get a picture with you? And he was like, yeah, dude, come on. Put his arm around me. He's got a great picture. So anyway, we'll get back to bourbon, but cigars and bourbon go together.
I want to tell you, they have in Tampa, they have a Fuente bar. And at the Fuente bar in Tampa, Steve's nodding his head. At the Fuente bar in Tampa, it's in Old Tampa. It's in Ybor City, and I've been there twice. It's an amazing experience. Well, first of all, any Fuente that you can imagine, you can get, and they'll cut it for you and everything. You smoke inside. Second of all, they have, it's not just bourbons, they have the largest selection of rums. Rums you can't imagine. A lot of rums are aged in bourbon barrels. But my favorite, look, since I got into smoking cigars in the early 90s, I've always been a Fuente fan. I still love Fuente. I buy Fuente all the time. Yes, I smoke my own, but I like a lot. I like variety. I love an 858. The Double Chateau Natural, I think, is one of the best cigars on the planet. Everybody's going to say, oh, what about an Opus X? Yeah, an Opus X is great. A Hemingway novel is probably about the best cigar money can buy, from me.
The Hemingway is the best, hand down. I know everybody goes nuts over $70 Opus X, but I think that's the best smoke you can ever smoke.
The Opus X it's a fine product. It's a great cigar. There's a lot of mystique to it and everything. They're hard to get. They're kind of like Pappy Van Winkle. But for me, the Hemingway, and of course, you have three. You have the short story. You have I can't remember. Then you have the novel. It's one of the finest perfecto cigars made. Is the Hemingway. In any of those, and that's a difficult thing to roll. So when you start talking about Arturo Fuente, Jeff, and you got a picture with him, Jelly.
Yeah, no, Carlos.
Carlos's
grandson.
Yeah, Jelly. And they still make, you know why they made the rumor is, I don't know if anyone's ever substantiated it. Do you know why they make it the 858? They call it the 858?
Is that the one they used to roll in the back porch of the house?
I don't know. Maybe they did. Arturo ordered that for his daughter's, either his daughter's wedding or his daughter, I can't remember. It's an event involving the daughter, and it was in August of 1958. So 858. They marked that box, and they aged them, so they marked that box 858, and supposedly it stuck. In any event, there are great cigars that go great with great bourbons. I don't believe anyone going to go, would you like to pair that cigar with a bourbon? Oh, get out of here, man. It doesn't matter what cigar unless you get one of those one of the fake Clint Eastwood ones that they sell for $5 for a pack of 10.
Bandinos or whatever they are.
$5 for a pack of 10 at Walgreens or whatever. You're not going to pair that with a bourbon, okay? If you're in a plant, you could, all right, because it does have a little bit of tobacco in it. Anything that is a handmade product is going to pair well with a bourbon. Okay, we haven't gotten into. I was just going to go to Blanton's, Joe. I'm glad you got a bottle because you can't get it here in New Orleans anymore.
Well, I have a bottle here. I've only had one little sip off of that, and that was the day that I came home from my father passing away. Show everyone
the horse, the brass top, the label, or the cap. So that looks to me to be, is that the L? It says it on the front. Is it the L?
Yes, that's the L. No, I'm sorry, that's the N.
Okay.
It's right here on the N.
So the legend is, if you don't know, BLANTON, Blanton, right? So the legend is you can collect all 7 of those caps like Joe has, and if you put them together, if you were to put them together and put them in cartoon form where they were animated, it actually shows a horse running. But you got to collect all 7. Yeah, and it used to be that it was kind of like, remember back in the 80s when they had the Coke the Real Thing contest with the bottle caps? Remember? And everyone had Coke, everyone had and everyone had Thing. Nobody had Real. We'd buy dozens of bottles of Coke to try to get a Real because we all had Coke the Thing. The Blantons, I forget which letter it is.
In the chat.
What's that?
I put it in the chat.
I can't do chat on here. You'd have to put it actually in here. The legend is, and I forget which letter it is. Maybe it's the B. But it's one of the letters is like really, really rare, and you can only get it from a Blanton. Like if you don't know a Blanton, you're not getting the 7th one to complete your set. that you actually got to like know a Blanton or go to, you gotta go to Blanton's and say, all right, sell me the damn letter that's missing so I can get the whole set and I can mount it and I can be a real bourbon snob, Muffy.
So here's a funny story about how I got that bottle, because in Pennsylvania you can still buy it, but it's not a normal thing. So all the liquor stores in Pennsylvania are owned by the state, and they have what they call their champagne stores. So they're the ones that do more volume. So each week they have a lottery. So the rare bottles of whatever's coming in, you have to pull a lottery. You don't even know what it is. And I had a doctor's appointment, and my doctor was running late. And it got to be almost 30 minutes late. And I told the secretary, hey, if doctor's running behind, not a big deal. Just reschedule me and I'll come back. And she says, hold on. And she got a call, and it was, my doctor calling. And he said, no, tell Joe to wait. I'll be there. Don't leave. So 40 minutes into this late appointment, he shows up coming through the front of the lobby, and he has 5 bags in his hands. He said, come on back with me. So I go back, I sit down in the room, and he sits down all these bottles. And his office was right next to the office where he was. So I heard him in there clinking bottles down. And he came back with one of these goldish bags. And he goes, here, this is for you. And he handed it to me. And I looked inside, and I'm like, it's a bottle of Blanton's. He's like, yeah, that's why I told you to wait. I was waiting in line, and I got the lottery. So I bought every bottle they had. And he goes, and if I would have came to your appointment, I would have lost my ticket, and I couldn't buy it. So here's a bottle for waiting.
Dude!
Best doctor ever, right?
Now here's something that's interesting. That most people are going like, what is Blanton's illegal? No, Blanton's not illegal. They started hoarding it because of the damn caps, and it got to the point. I mean, the bourbon is okay. It's made by basically. There's only a couple.
Buffalo Trace, right?
Yeah, there's only a couple of distilleries in Kentucky, the really big ones that make almost everything. Buffalo Trace is the big one. Now, earlier Steve mentioned cheap bourbon. What was it, Granddaddy? What was the
Kentucky Gentleman.
Kentucky Gentleman. That's what I say, Kentucky Gentleman. The Kentucky Gentleman is probably a fine bourbon. You probably couldn't tell if you did a taste test. Most people would go, "Oh man, that's pretty good." You wouldn't. You probably wouldn't know. Same thing with Blanton's, because it comes out of the Buffalo Trace Distillery. So there's only so many different ways that you can make bourbon. Now, somebody said earlier about aging the 2 years or to get it to the 4 years. There's a bourbon out there that is all the rage, and people raving about it. So this is to Jacqueline's point and other people's points about bourbon snobs. Oh, yeah? Well, I got a bottle of Jefferson's Ocean, and it like crossed the equator twice, and it's like it's the best bourbon there is, the best bourbon that I've ever had. And my response is, dude, if I had a wound, I don't know if I'd pour it on my wound in order to not get a lockjaw. It's so terrible. It's awful. It's hideous. It's horrible. People, ooh, Ocean's is, no, it's not. No, it's not. You want to say it's good because you paid $85 for a bottle. You should have paid $8.
It's $1.30 now, and I laugh at every time I see someone buying a bottle.
You can keep it, bro. I'm with Steve. I'll save $120 and buy me some Kentucky Gentleman and call it a day.
Absolutely. I told a guy that was buying the bottle, I said, hey, reach yourself down there and get that bottle of maple smirk. You'll thank me later.
So here's the thing. The Jefferson's Ocean guy was at the same event that Rob Samuels is at. And he told all of us the story of how they make the ocean. You know how they do it? They bottle it in Kentucky.
The claim is they put it on a ship and send it around the world, right?
They send it across the equator and then down to wherever, and then it comes back across the equator and back to Kentucky. Supposedly, the legend is that the massive dramatic change in temperatures and the massive fluctuation in temperatures is what makes this the finest bourbon in the world, because it gets double secret probation into the oak because it's so hot and it gets soaked in there. And then when it gets back to the cool climate of Kentucky barrel just squeezes it out, and it's just the most flavorful. It's, to coin a phrase from Mike Myers and Austin Powers, crap is shit. It's awful. and they don't age it for 4 years. They do the minimum of 2. That crap is not aged. Now, there is a Jefferson's that is a fine bourbon. Just the garden variety Jefferson's is just fine. But I am not spending an extra $120 to get a bottle because you and some other dumbass decided you were going to put it on a barge and drive it across the flipping equator. You know what? You should have, when you were down at the equator, to make ends meet, maybe you should have smuggled some other contraband back for all of us, okay?
Hey, Mike.
Why don't they pick up some good bourbon on the way by?
Hey, Mike.
And maybe they all want to jump off the boat and swim naked around the boat as they cross the equator.
I mean, honestly, where did people come up with this nonsense? I just think there's so many gimmicky people that go out and buy whatever story is told. They never crack the bottle open, but it's the best bourbon you ever had. And I always ask the people, well, you don't even drink it, so how would you ever know? I mean, it's horrible stuff.
Okay.
What about Whistle
Hey, Mike.
Pig?
Now, Whistle Pig is great. Anyone ever had a Whistle Pig? If you like
Whistle Pig is really good.
If you like rye, Whistle Pig is one of the finest ryes that you'll ever have. It's another one. It's a little pricey, but it's really good and it's very tasty. And again, you have to like rye. If you don't like pumpernickel bread, you're not going to like a rye whiskey. I mean, really, if rye has a certain taste to it, and you can taste it in whiskey. Okay, final question. We're going to go around. All right. You're stuck on a desert island. I'm not going to tell you who you're stuck with, but you all know him, and you're going like, how am I going to survive the rest of my life stuck with this guy? You get to choose one bourbon and an endless supply of it to endure having to spend the rest of your life with this dude. Now, what's the bourbon going to be? Everybody's got to go.
I'll tell you, whatever I had at your house, that'll be the one, because I don't even remember the name of it.
Okay, so that's Elijah Craig.
Elijah Craig.
You had Elijah Craig. Okay, so me and you are going to be drinking
Yeah.
together then. So I'm just going to go
That'll
ahead.
work.
I'm going to tip my hand and say my regular, and I've been my regular for almost a decade now, and I pretty much drink it every day, at least an ounce or two. It's just a regular garden variety Elijah Craig. Elijah Craig. I don't need the single barrel, although the single barrel is fine, and it's a bit of an upgrade. It's a little higher in proof. Elijah Craig is, I think, either the second or third oldest distillery in the United States. And if I had to be stuck on a desert island with this guy, then as long as I got cases of Elijah Craig, I will survive. I will Gloria Gaynor that guy, and I will outlive him. I will pickle my innards, and I will outlive him living on Elijah Craig. So,
And I'm going to go with that chicken cock small batch that I told you. It's now my favorite. I just absolutely love that bourbon.
I can't wait to get my hands on a bottle of this. So me and Steve are Elijah Craig. Jeff is chicken cock. Joe is...
I mean, Maker's just everyday drinking. You can't go wrong. I'd take Maker's all day long. It'll be fine.
And which beer aged in a bourbon barrel is Scott Resnick going with?
Oh, I'd do a bourbon. I'd do one of the local ones. There's one made near us that's called Fernway. And out of all the local ones I've tasted, it's the one I like best. But I'd still prefer a beer. But it sounds like bourbon is my only option. So that's what I'd go with.
I think I like Fernway. I think I've had Fern. Did you bring me a bottle of Fernway?
I did not.
You brought me a bunch of wines. I know that.
Yeah, a bunch of wine.
That name sounds familiar, and I wonder if they distribute outside of Missouri.
I think they do.
Okay.
And there's
Interesting.
also Wooden Hat that's local, or Missouri anyway. They're in the Herman area. There's a lot of stuff in Herman.
You know what? You're actually in a really great area to make bourbon because of your climate, because you do have molten hot summers and below freezing temperatures for an extended period of time in winter. That's really the secret to bourbon, or to anything that goes in a barrel, including a wine. You're using the barrel to take the taste of the wood. Like Maggie says, she doesn't like any oak in her wine. Okay, fine.
I hate
Nope.
it.
No, a lot of people don't. That's fine. But if you do, well, then you want temperature swings, or you're not going to get any. There won't be a taste of the barrel if you don't get
You gotta have that
temperature swings.
expansion and contraction.
So,
Agreed.
and again, I'm just going to show the audience. I'll zoom in on this. This is not a bourbon, and I'm not trying to pass it off as one, but I really I like this distillery.
Move it over this way. Hey, this way to the camera.
Oh, well, I was showing it on the other camera.
I don't care about them.
So it's JT Mellick, and you can see made in Louisiana, and it's a whiskey. They also make a gin, and they make a vodka, and they try to source as much as they can locally. This proof is 120 points free. And brother, I tell you, the first time I had it, I didn't read the proof. So I just got myself a snifter, and I started sniffing it, or started drinking it. I was like, hey, wait, whoa, wait a minute. Why am I woozy here?
Hey, Mike, it's really a big shame they didn't have Junk Bond on tonight, because Junk Bond is a bourbon aficionado.
You know what? We never.
He's a snooty guy. I love him though.
Yeah, him and his King George the 13th or whatever the hell it is.
I drank King George with him.
You know what? We don't ever exhaust our topic, so we'll just do it again, and we'll make sure the Junk Bond is available.
Well, he's in India, so on his way to Dubai, so he's not.
Shocker.
I'm pretty sure that I've invited him on 2 of these Thursday night throwdowns, and he couldn't make either one.
He's very busy.
We'll have him on the cigar one, so he can tell us about all of his really good cigars he has.
Well, we're gonna have to have a cigar, the cigar one. We're gonna have to film it somewhere that's outdoors so that the host can smoke. So
I agree.
This road trip.
It'll have to be later, maybe in the spring, because it's going to be below 0 here most of the weekend.
Dude, it's going to get down to 26 here in Louisiana, they're saying on Sunday night.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
And we're looking at 4 below.
So 26, what? That's like 72 to you? That's let's go out in a short sleeve shirt, get slap some lotion on, get a suntan.
You guys gonna be down there dying. You're gonna be
Yes.
shivering.
I am.
No, I'm going to be inside dying. I'm not going to be outside. I'm a
You're
southerner.
just gonna avoid the outside.
I'm a southerner.
Grocery shop.
I will be inside with a fire that will insulate me from any of the effects of the cold. Well, that's going to wrap it up. I want to make sure that we get out of here in time before the clock cuts us off again. Well, actually, I want to thank Scott Resnick, Joe Beeman, Steve Smart, and Jeff Johnson for joining us, all of you in the chat room, in the Crusader Stadium chat room. Someday somebody's going to stumble upon these episodes on YouTube or wherever. They're going to go like, hey, that was a pretty cool show. How come it didn't take off? Well, I don't know, because Mike was involved in it. That's one reason.
Oh,
And the shadow banners went, nope, do not pass go.
Because the dummies you had on the show.
Probably the dummies.
No, you're all tremendous dummies. Don't sell yourself short.
Don't call me Shirley.
And don't call me Shirley. That's exactly right. Well, folks, we are going to sign off so we can all enjoy ourselves a bourbon. And tomorrow, for those of you that are listening on Free Farm Friday, wow, what a treat we have. We have Tim Cermak from Sugar Bush Farms. You all know Tim, and Tim will be coming to us with a special coupon deal. So get your maple syrup purchasing credit cards or debit cards or checks or whatever ready, because every year we break the record for Sugar Bush Farms on the amount of maple syrup that is sold. So I told Tim, I said, dude, give me a double secret probation better coupon this year. I don't know what he's giving me, but it's always great. And then we buy an awful lot of their maple syrup, and they are so looking forward to being back on the Mike Church Show and Free Farm Friday. So we'll do that at the 8 o'clock hour. That's 9 a.m. on the East Coast during the show tomorrow. Hope you can join us tomorrow. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and chatting up in the chat room. And we will do this all again next week. All right, anyone have, before we go, a suggestion of something we have not covered for a Thursday night throwdown?
Well,
I
You said cigars.
but
You said
yeah,
cigars.
cigars we have
But
to
we
keep
all
a
should be
little warm.
together for that one.
Yeah, I think that is a bros and bromance together thing as well. Hey, I'm game.
Well,
I'm game to do
I'm
a
still
Star
looking
Trek.
forward to Pistols.
We can do pistols.
Yeah, but
Guns and pistols are always a good one, sir.
Pew pew.
Is it next
I mean, I got my
generation or
SIG shirt on.
Pew pew. Motorcycles. We could do motorcycles. I like the doing a Star Trek episode. You know, Monday will show up, and if we don't invite him, he'll crash it.
old school?
What's that?
Next generation or old school?
No, you got to do them all.
Well, you can't do them all in one.
Maggie's saying you can't just do one Star Trek. You have to all the Star Treks. All right.
We want
No,
nobody
you-
else on here will be getting a word in edgewise with Monday. He'll be the Star Trek.
No, well, I could, but you got to cut it. You got to cut it off after Voyager. Nothing after Voyager, because it's junk.
I,
Okay.
I think pretty much after Enterprise. Although, Strange New Worlds, there are some episodes that are okay,
Yeah.
but not the series. I
What
want to
about
recommend
Discovery?
I didn't see Discovery.
We did.
It's terrible.
Oh, oh wait a minute, I saw Discovery. No,
Yeah, you
It was horrible. Horrible.
Discovery. Black women in outer space. Basically, I just gave you the plot. Minorities and homos in outer space.
Pretty
Well,
much.
There
that's
you
not Miss
go.
Piggy.
That's what they discovered. Minorities and homos on strange planets. Imagine that. All right.
What is Don Lemon on it?
All
There's a
right.
real woman in it.
I think they should have killed the whole damn thing after Enterprise, actually.
Fair enough.
You had Scott Bakula. You had a decent crew. Who doesn't like looking
I
at
can
the
handle Enterprise.
Yeah, who doesn't like looking at DePaul every now and then? I'm okay with that. But
Jackie just
really,
said, oh my.
but you know, see, Jackie, we're already doing the show. You know, he directed about, it seems like every third or fourth episode I watch of Enterprise now because I'm catching up on season 3, Jonathan Frakes. And I had to, you know, I'm sure all us Trekkers had the man crush on Jonathan Frakes. We all love Jonathan Frakes. So he was heavily involved in everything after TNG. He stayed involved in all of it. And you know, look, the first 2 seasons of Picard, lesbians and black people in outer space. Third season
first
of
season was
Picard
Freud
is
love.
actually season 7 of TNG.
True story.
The third season of Picard is excellent. It's good. Somebody must have told Rick Berman, dude, you freaking ruined everything. And you destroyed Jean-Luc Picard's legacy. Now he's just hanging out with a bunch of man-hating hoes. Is that how you want Jean-Luc Picard to be remembered? Because they pulled it out in season 3. They got the band back together and everything. All right. See, we're already doing the show. No, we got to go. I'm signing off. See y'all tomorrow for Free Phone and Free Farm Friday. Here is Amos to take us out here with a little good whiskey. Thanks for watching. God bless you. Merry keep you.